All right, day 3 here at the Senior Bowl. Final day of practice here in Mobile, Alabama. From left to right on your screen, I am Justin Penik from Talking Giants and JM Football. This is the Football Grump from the Just Giants podcast. Bobby Skinner from Talking Giants and JM Football. And Robert Schmitz from Windy City Gridiron. Fellas, it's always a little bittersweet on the last day. This is the final day that we will be down here in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl practices.
No rain.
No rain.
Yeah, no. Last year it didn't rain either. To be fair, they just didn't let us into practice. So credit to the Senior Bowl for letting us in this year without the rain. A lot to go through. Some guys missed today, like DeJuan Jones. He has missed the last 2 days. Tank Dell, who was like a Senior Bowl superstar, the receiver out of Houston. Puka Nacua, haven't seen him the last 2 days. And I was really disappointed. I wanted to see Tyreek Stevenson, but we were looking at him yesterday out of Miami, and he was like dealing with something, I don't know, with cramping or whatnot, but I'm really hoping he gets to play in the game on Saturday. But the guys that did play, and I want to start talking about this guy on the national side. And I said, I want to watch the tight ends, linebackers, safeties. I haven't watched a lot of them this week. Payne Durham was somebody I watched, but it was a lot of the blocking drills. And it's like, this guy can block. He can be like a 6 offensive lineman for you. Today, he was like a receiving superstar. Like just even in one-on-one drills where it's not like getting to open in zone, he was winning. And he is slow. Like, there's no doubt about it. You watch him, like he had a seam route and he caught it, like a nice 25-yard gain, but it's like he's very slow. He's a plotter. But at the stem of the route, he's able to break open, and he just catches anything that comes his way. And in team red zone drill, he was double covered, had his helmet ripped off, and comes down with the ball in the first touchdown of the day. Like you talked about him day one and got my eyes on him. He was the most fun player to watch today, Payne Durham out of Purdue.
Way better hips than you would expect out of a 260-pound guy that's as slow as he is. But like you're talking about, Bobby, I mean, he's not going to try to get open on vertical routes or big corners or things like that. But all of your standard tight or quarterback's best friend routes, little stick routes, little curl routes, little button hook routes, like that's going to make all of the difference for Payne Durham's game because he's able to get that key 6 yards that may just be the difference between a drive ending and a drive continuing. And like you're saying, Bobby, today, really strong hands. I mean, he had a lot of balls that would have easily been excusable drops that he caught anyways, but both between contact and at the length of his massive catch radius. Justin, you posted a highlight on Twitter of him hauling one in on the seam route, and that's at the extent of his range, and he kept his feet. I mean, great day from number 87.
Yeah, I think he had 4 or 5 catches in team drill and then also 2 touchdowns. And one of the touchdowns, he was lining up at fullback. And I was actually disappointed on that play, Grump. After I was like, I kind of wanted to see him block from the fullback spot. And they let him do it later in pass protection. But this is all after, like, my first note on the day was one-on-ones. Like, Durham is just winning. Like, guys are staying in his hip, and then at the stem of the route, he's breaking out, and he's, being able to catch the ball with his hands. He was really impressive, and he became like I want that guy on my team type of guy through these 3 days.
It was frustrating because people on Twitter were, losing their minds over, he does look slow, he does look slow, he does look slow. I don't think he's the slowest tight end I've ever seen, but also if you think about, it's paired with the blocking, and I understand just the one clip that you put on social media, you don't get to see the blocking element, but 10 times out of 10, I would rather have that blocking tight end that has that versatility who can also catch the ball than just a flat-out speed guy. So Durham certainly had himself a day, and that catch that he had, it was 4 verts, and that catch that he had in the back corner of the end zone, double covered, was absolutely awesome.
Not to belabor the point, but separation is not really going to be the name of his game, but where he excels is getting in good body position and boxing guys out with his large frame, using his full extension, and like you said, his strong hands. And like in one-on-one drills, that speed separation thing, it's going to be highlighted that he doesn't have it, right? But in team drills where, you have other wide receivers garnering attention, and you kind of just have to find the soft spot in the zone, and like you said, get 6 yards on 3rd and 6. He's going to be that guy for you, and that's an important role in the NFL as well. And running routes out of the backfield, another thing that he can just do. I think he's turned into kind of like an I want it guy.
Safety out of Illinois, Sidney Brown, whose a twin brother actually plays running back for the other side. What did you see out of him, Grump? Because he was someone who flashed early, and I thought pretty often today.
Brown looks solid. Look, he's going to be one of those guys who's going to keep everything in front of him and play downhill. That's where he is best. He's been lining up a little bit at free safety here. I don't think that's his NFL position, but who knows, right? But when everything's right there in front of him, he really triggers fast. He makes a quick decision, and he fires at it, and he makes tackles. He makes pass breakups. He looked really good today. He had a flash play. He jumped a route in 7-on-7. He didn't come up with the interception, but it was the first play of 7-on-7s, and he caught it. He knew exactly what was happening, and he triggered on it. It was good stuff. He was somebody I was keying in on today, so it was nice he had a good
He
day.
also triggered in the red zone on a read option from the deep safety spot and came and just totally shut. I mean, obviously he's not tackling the quarterback, but totally shut it down. Whereas like that was something they expected, I think, from the look they even had from the front. But he came from that deep safety spot, triggered down into the alley, and was able to shut that down. He was someone who I didn't watch much this week, but I came away impressed. I'm like, okay, let's see what this guy can do. Let's see if he's limited to the box, or like you said, limited to the box, or if he's a guy that can play a little more deep.
Physically speaking, he's absolutely shredded. I mean, if we had like a yoked scale, like he's absolutely up at the top. But one thing I think is really impressive about Sidney Brown, sure, he's got great zone eyes. Sure, I think he has a feel for both inside and high free safety like kinds of play. But the best part is his physicality, despite his relatively small stature. I mean, he had a rep today against Davis Allen out of Clemson, where Allen ran an out route and he jammed him right at the top of the stem, felt him coming out, jumped the route, and took a pick six back. It's one-on-one individuals, so who cares? But it's nice play all the same, and the versatility that he brings is probably going to push him up pretty high.
Robert, you said that was the only interception that was in 1v1s inside the red zone today, right? Only interception.
Yeah, so he had a really good day. You mentioned Davis Allen. For a guy who goes out and he's got good athleticism to him, but he's going to high point. I was a little frustrated. You mentioned that play. J.L. Skinner, who's a 6'4" safety out of Boise State.
Any relation?
One-on-ones. Yeah, he's my cousin.
Sure.
I don't need to share my connections. Just literally jammed him to the ground. Like just got his hands on him. Like I think he was trying to break for an in route. So I think that's something he's got to okay, let's go watch the tape on this guy and see how he does deal with physicality, because that could be an issue with him. It showed up today.
From a tight end's perspective, it feels like on the American team, all four tight ends have shown us a little something. But on the national team, it feels like the Payne Durham show. And when one guy is taking over so clearly, it sucks to be one of the other two guys on the roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Michael Wilson. He seems to be all right. Let's go quick. Jaden Reed or Michael Wilson coming away from these 3 days?
Well, I think Jaden Reed's the big winner because of such a dominant day one and day two, but I feel like Michael Wilson's right on his heels. Again, he missed all of the 2021 and most of the 2022 season due to injuries, so we're talking about a player with a little bit more baggage than somebody like Jaden Reed, but I do feel like Reed has been so good that come a day like today, none of us feel like talking about him because he didn't look like anything unusual, right? We've just set the standard really high.
Well, I think Puka Nacua had the strong day one and then didn't practice day two or day three. Yesterday, Jaden Reed kind of stole the show. I think if you look at this week for Michael Wilson, you'll see a slow ramp up from Tuesday, Wednesday to Thursday. And today, I think he might have been the best, but overall this week, maybe Jaden Reed for the national team.
Yeah.
Who do you think has been the best corner on the national side?
On the national side, it's got to be Caillou Blue-Kelly. He had another solid day today. Yesterday, he had the pick six. We don't need to talk anymore about that. But they were testing him more and more and more. When he does slip up at the release, he has the closing speed to recover. And I might have this wrong. I think it was Xavier Hutchinson kind of sunned him a little bit at the stem, but he still managed to work through it and break up the pass.
In the red zone.
Yes.
Yeah, in the red zone. Yeah.
I want to talk quickly about Ivan Pace Jr., who, he had 100-plus tackles, all these tackles for loss, sacks for Cincinnati. I don't know where I land with him, because you watch his film and you watch him even here. He was highlighted in some pass rush drills versus the running back. And his quickness is amazing. His speed, his ability, his trigger to get downhill, it's really awesome to watch. The issue is he's 5'10", and I think he just going to have a hard time getting off of blocks to the next level, to where we're talking, could a safety, does he have the athleticism to try and maybe move to that safety spot, or does he end up being a tweener where it's he just doesn't find a role in the NFL? And I was constantly, they're different players, but I was constantly brought back to Chaz Surratt out of UNC a couple years ago, a guy I fell in love with, and I think I learned a lot. It's he's a very fun player, but this may not be a guy that succeeds at the next level, where Like, I think he's going to be a nice case study where it's, we're trying to get better coverage, faster linebackers on the field. But at the end of the day, you got to be 6'1", 6'2", and be able to, show off your guns a little bit.
Well, and speaking of 6'1", 6'2", if there's one linebacker that I feel like stands out among the rest, even when they're just standing next to each other, it's Texas's DeMarvion Overshown, who's not only 6'2", naturally speaking, but has extraordinarily long arms and some real instincts in coverage. It's not like he's done anything particular. The Senior Bowl isn't a phenomenal venue for linebackers to distinguish themselves, but he's somebody that I feel like you got your eye on for that size and length trait in comparison to exactly the guy you were talking about.
Any last notes on the national side?
I do want to talk about yesterday. Jarrett Patterson kind of stepped up as the better center on the national side, and today he got straight up embarrassed by Northwestern D lineman Atabare. He just kind of punched real good leverage right underneath the shoulder and just drove him back to the point where it frustrated him and continued to try to block way after the play. Just a note, because both of those guys were constant flashes throughout the week.
Grump, it feels like guys like us talk a lot about positional versatility when it comes to some of these guys. There is another side of it where somebody like Jared Patterson clearly wanted to show that he could play guard at an NFL level. I just don't think he's got it.
Going left to right, Steve Avelia, the left guard out of TCU, I need to watch him and see exactly what he's good at, but he just continuously wins. John Michael Schmitz, the center out of Minnesota, he might be the star of the week for the American side, especially in the trenches. I mean, he just gets his hands on guys, buries them, works leverage. Like, if they want to try and get to his outside shoulder, he'll get in your hip and drive you out and give a crease for the back. And he just, he controls pass pro reps from the start with his hands. Osiris Torrance, his anchor, continues to show up out from the Florida Gators, who's a guy who might be in the first round. Really impressive. And then Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. His footwork is good. He does everything well. He's not the most athletic guy in the world. His foot speed's not going to blow you away, but there was just watching team drills and then watching all those guys in their one-on-ones, and they were even working on some stunt pickup stuff. It's like these five together made one of the best Senior Bowl offensive lines I've seen together, where these guys were just dominating from left to right consistently, and it was really fun to watch. I mean, we were up high in the sky for the second practice, and Matthew Bergeron, he was the only one I was like, man, I wish I was up close in person with seeing this one guy, because it was just the most exciting left tackle play I think I saw all week.
Bergeron also had a nice play kicking out and hitting people on the move as well.
Yes, they pulled him on a toss play, and he gets out, man, and he's like, oh my, this guy can just move. He's an athlete. Yeah. So he was very impressive out of Syracuse. I didn't hear much about him on anyone's radar coming into this, and I think coming out, it's like, okay, let's go see what this guy's made of.
I'm kind of surprised they did this for a hot sec day too. I'm surprised we didn't see him more at guard because of his athleticism. I feel like he can play at guard, and it's always so tough to project, and I don't really feel like I'm smart enough to do that, but that's a guy that I do want to see at guard, and maybe at the pro level he will, because he's only like around 6'4", so.
It's been a tough week to be a defensive lineman on the American side, because they've got some guys. I mean, you didn't even mention Oklahoma offensive tackle Wanya Morris, who's been really, really impressive. If you're looking for more of a lighter tackle that can move a little bit more, it feels like he's more your guy than, say, Darnell Wright. But he's shown both right and left tackle flexibility popping between the two and putting out some really good tape. Seemed like Byron Young had another good day today. Did y'all see that?
Which Byron one? Young?
The Tennessee one, the edge rusher.
Yeah, he definitely had some good plays. Switching to the receiver room.
Can we give somebody some preps?
Give some. I want to talk about Byron Young for 1 second.
Okay, yeah.
Because this is the guy that we had this back and forth on, that every play looks like exactly the same.
Yes.
So Byron Young, I want to see how he plays the game of football, because every single rep that he's had here at the Senior Bowl on 1v1s, he's had so much momentum under his belt. Now he is a little light, so once that momentum stops and once tackles are able to anchor down, he's not able to move. He's not able to get any progress.
Cooked at that point.
It doesn't seem like he has any pass rush moves. Again, that's why I want to see how he actually plays the game of football, because here he has all that momentum under his belt, but he kind of just gets stopped. So I want to see how he actually plays the game. But he had a week where it's like, I want to see more of you. I want to go home and I want to watch.
Was there anything else on the trenches you guys got from the American side?
No, I want to flip to receiver. I want to give some props to somebody that I feel like we've been overly critical on, but we haven't. But Rashee Rice had a much, much, much better day today than he had all week. Now, he was not getting jammed at the line of scrimmage, but he was still getting press coverage, and you could see with his release being faster at the line of scrimmage, he's able to work that separation. He caught just about everything that was thrown his way in one-on-ones. He had a good team drill segment today. Rashee Rice had a bounce-back day today.
Yeah, and the one-on-ones, he was working the full route too. You know, he really set up. I can't remember I think it was the LSU corner where he just set him up for just a drag route where he got the separation.
Jay Ward.
He worked a post corner fade that he had, and then I really liked in team drill. He ran that skinny post where he got the safety was coming down, triggering down. And he had the corner on him, made that tight catch, and I think he ended up landing in the end zone on the 1 yard line. What do you think out of Rice today, Robert?
So interestingly enough, look, so we have this access to Zebra Sports is tracking a bunch of data live about these players. And if I went through and I found what they listed as explosive efforts, so that's somebody either accelerating or decelerating really quickly, Rashee Rice leads the week with 76 across 3 practices. Today, I feel like I really saw where Rice could shine, right? We've been watching him as an X receiver all this time, but I think he makes a little more sense as a power slot. Somebody who's going to line up, you're not really going to press him. If you do, it's going to be with the safety, and he's going to try to use that explosiveness that he has, even though he doesn't have great top speed, to separate inside in short areas and present you a relatively sizable target. Had a couple of nice catches against Darius Rush, the corner, who had himself a really nice day with Stevenson and even Brents for the second half sitting out, but that's a separate conversation. I feel like Rice looked a lot more like the guy we expected to see.
Speaking of the zebra stuff, I saw Rush clocked in as the fastest corner at like 21 miles per hour, which I was surprised because he doesn't look the fastest, but obviously he's got those long legs where he can stride.
Yeah, but the word with Rashee Rice that I've been using all week is I just wanted to see more juice. Well, what does that mean? I don't really know, but I feel like that's just like a football term that when you see it on the field, oh, that guy's got juice. He had that today, so it was really, really cool to see. And I'm glad to see that kind of stat kind of backs it up, able to de-accelerate and then accelerate back up again to full speed. Had a touchdown in team drills. Rashee Rice was a lot of fun. Can we talk about Xavier Hutchinson too?
Go for it.
Robert, I thought you worded it perfectly when we were talking off air. He has these plays where it's like, yeah, that's Xavier Hutchinson. And then this week he's had plays where it's like, where is he? Who is this guy? This is not the guy that I really want to buy in and love.
Right. I feel like he's the kind of guy that really relies a little bit more on scouting and the ability to prepare for the corner that he's going to be across from. It's totally just a vibe I get. But in the Senior Bowl, things are pretty vanilla out here. I mean, you're running basic routes. It's a prescribed route in many cases, and the corner knows about it and is trying not to cheat, right? And so on some of these plays, we've seen Xavier Hutchinson flash really wonderful fluid hips, nice arm extensions, a lot of tools to win at the NFL level. But then on other routes, he's just gotten jammed up and stuffed.
He's just gone.
There's not one specific way that he's losing, and there's not one specific way he's winning. I want to see him at the Senior Bowl itself to see which side of Xavier Hutchinson we'll get to see. I'm sure he'll get some chances.
Was there any other wide receiver? Do you want to talk corners?
Jonathan Mingo, I thought, had a couple good days. He has this weird knack of like getting grabbed, right? And it's like, oh, flag. But he will pull out of it and separate and make it like a great hands catch. And that's something watching him coming in, it's like this guy just makes tough catch after tough catch. And I think that speaks to his strength. I remember we were talking before we came down here. It was like, guy can actually like block and like line up in line almost, and I think it speaks to his strength that there's been multiple times where it's like he's getting held, like not even just like a little grab, Robert, like he's getting his head like pulled down when he's going for a break, and he's powering out of it and making a catch, even on like a simple like curl route. In
a league, Robert, I'm sorry, but in a league where I think we're trying to go away from like just contested catch guys. Yeah. And Jonathan Mingo is a big physical guy that you would think that he would just be kind of a contested catch guy. No. Out of all the guys at the Senior Bowl, I am most interested to see how Jonathan Mingo's career goes because he is such a freak. He does have that X factor of being a really, really good blocker. I feel like he does some good route cell stuff at the line of scrimmage too. Right. So out of all guys at the Senior Bowl, and this is kind of a bias just coming in because I liked him coming in here so much, I am most interested to see how his NFL career goes and how it pays off for him.
I totally agree. I mean, look, in the world of receiver positions, one of the more common ones is if you play what's called Z. That means you're a couple yards off the line of scrimmage. They're the guys who aren't lining up right on the line. It means they don't get pressed as much, right? Mingo's not having a great week with contact, but we thought he was going to be a Z receiver in the first place, so that's really nothing strange. I feel like what separates Mingo, though, from others is that he shows a lot less flash, like deliberately, when he's running routes because he wants everything to look the same, right? He's not trying to show off wild athleticism like, say, Michael Wilson is, where he wants you to see that break. He wants that highlight on Twitter, right? Mingo is going to keep everything controlled and basically play poker with his DB. And when he had his wins, he won in huge ways. But we're going to have to see him again in a game setting where I feel like he's done way better in the team drills than he's ever done on the one-on-ones. Right. And at the end of the day, football isn't a sport played in the one-on-ones, so that's really what counts.
Yep. What's going to be interesting with him, and because I didn't really look at it to like write this down and verify it numerically that this is a fact, but it felt like a lot of the times he was getting held is because I think he might be initiating contact a lot of times. He's kind of a physical guy, right? Like we know he can block, but when it comes to running around, like he'll just kind of run straight into a DB and just barrel into us. That might be why he's getting held a lot. I don't know. I have to look into that, but it is a feeling I got.
All right.
Corners?
What did you guys have on corners today? I was really disappointed Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami didn't play, but I need him to play Saturday. And what did you have on corners?
You guys have been talking about Darius Rush all week. To me, I didn't really notice him until today, and I think that might have been because Tyreek Stevenson wasn't playing, but he looked solid all day. He had some really good pass breakups against Mingo. Today was the day I saw Darius Rush. The clouds parted, I saw the sun. So.
Julius Brents, the long Kansas State corner, had an early one-on-one. So they did a bunch of one-on-ones, right, where they'd pick out an offensive and a defensive player. The entire team would stand aside and watch these two guys do battle. And the offense won all of them except for Julius Brentz's against, I think it was Mingo, as a matter of fact, who got the outside edge, but Brents used his length to just run stride for stride down the sidelines, put a hand in, and knock the pass away. A true PBU. The moment he did that, he did not play the rest of the day. So between guys like him, guys like Tank Dell, it definitely seemed like there were some people who thought, all right, I've written my paper. I don't need to show anything else. I am turning my homework in and stopping playing. But the guys that did play, like you're talking about Brent's, Rush, I really liked a lot of what they did. I think Chris Smith, the safety out of Georgia, flashed some athleticism, some quick feet, but this isn't really a great arena for safeties. You got to stand out in a big way to get noticed.
Right. All right, anything else?
I've already talked about Tajay Spears. He had a ridiculous highlight play today.
Those one-on-ones to start the practice, right?
He absolutely teleported on a whip route.
A running back whip route.
A running back whip route behind Pittsburgh linebacker Dennis. I can't say his first name. I don't. You're gonna have to look up the clip. I don't even have the vocabulary to describe it. He literally just dipped underneath the back shoulder and just. He was gone. I don't
Levitated.
think. Yeah, he was gone. He is so much fun to watch.
I feel like the biggest thing that goes understated about about Spears, he's got a lot of effort in the blocking game. Like, he's not a big guy, so when you think about him, you're thinking third down running back, right? But if he can even just stop the occasional blitzer as the league gets a little bit smaller at DB, I feel like that's going to be huge for him because we know he can run, we know he can catch, and if he can block, he's going to find his way on the field early.
Yeah, I mean, he was a hell of a back for Tulane. I remember watching him in that USC bowl game, and he has really, really stood out here. Also, I want to give some credit to Kenny McIntosh. He's nowhere near as flashy as Tajay Spears, but he has those quick little bam and we'll go. And I think he's got good vision. You know, there was a time where the edge shooted inside the tight end sealed. He makes one cut, goes outside, and then had like about 20 yards of space before getting up to the safeties. He, I think, might just be the best all-around back down here.
Yeah, I think so too. He has that unique ability to be at like full speed in like the shortest amount of time. So like you said, like
for a taller guy too.
Yeah,
I think he's 6'1".
Yeah, I think so. But he'll just take like one hop and then he's immediately at his full speed. So he'll be through a hole so fast that nobody can really react.
All right, I think we're good. I think we're set.
I think so. I want to thank Robert Schmitz from Windy City Gridiron. This is the second year that you've joined us for these post Senior Bowl recaps. This has been a lot of fun. The Football Grump from the Just Giants podcast, again, joins us. These guys take time out of their day. Practice is over. They could very much go back home, go back to the hotel, get something to eat and relax, or even do their own stuff, but they're hopping on with us. So thank you very much, fellas. Bobby Skinner, you hear his voice all the time. He's going to have a lot of post-Senior Bowl film breakdowns and stuff like that. My name's Justin Penik. I'm going to do what I do. Thank you so much for watching us through these 3 days. Stay tuned for more. NFL draft season, it started, baby. Let's roll.